welcome to our podcast. I'm here, Dr. Susan Kleiner, with my good friend and colleague, Eric Bustillo, and we are here to talk about everything nutrition, health, athletics, activity, performance, wellness, whatever you want to think about. We love to talk about food, beverages, supplements, and everything that goes, through your digestive tract.
For sure. And I think a big goal for me is trying to keep it as brief as possible and to the point, because I think we can both agree once we get rolling, we can just keep on going
Oh my
for
goodness.
hours.
Put us in front of a microphone. So, Eric, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Eric Bustillo. I'm a registered dietitian. I have my master's in applied exercise science and sports nutrition. I'm currently the co-vice president of the International Society of Sports Nutrition, which I'm also a fellow of and a certified sport nutritionist through the organization. I'm a certified strength coach as well as a CrossFit coach and personal trainer. And I have well over a decade of experience in working with a wide range of individuals. So practicing things like medical nutrition therapy, working with tactical athletes, professional athletes, recreational athletes, sick individuals, healthy individuals, and using different kind of coaching methods to help people achieve certain goals and also educate them. So things like motivational interviewing, just a lot of empathy when talking with people, and using a educational way of allowing them to learn what's going to be best for them as far as health and performance are concerned, but not in a belittling way. It's not like a lecture and pointing my finger at them, but it's involving them in the conversation and helping them bring about their change. So I've had the privilege of working with so many different people and organizations, from like the Army and the Navy to different sports teams and whatnot. So that's just a brief elevator speech as far as what I do and have my hands in.
And Eric, you're all about making the world a better place.
Amen to that.
So I get to introduce myself, Dr. Susan Kleiner. I have a PhD in nutrition and human performance. I am a registered dietitian. I'm a certified nutrition specialist emeritus, a fellow of the American College of Nutrition, a fellow of the International Society of Sport Nutrition, and a co-founder of the International Society of Sport Nutrition. And I have been fortunate to be in this field since its very, very early pioneering days, where I had a handful of colleagues where we were really, I think, had a vision that this could happen where we are today. So it's really fun. I am a practitioner, a consultant to industry, an educator. I motivate people to think about taking care of themselves and enhancing their performance, from athletes to coaches, as well as helping industry develop motivational opportunities to enhance health and performance. I am the founder of my firm, High Performance Nutrition, a consulting firm in Mercer Island, Washington. And I've worked with athletes at all levels of sport as well as teams. And I am proud to say that I have worked with the great members of the Seattle Storm, the Seattle Reign, the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Seattle Thunderbirds, former Seattle Supersonics, maybe we'll have them again someday, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Miami Heat, and more. I love to write and speak, and I have books that you can find on the shelves, from The New Power Eating to The Good Mood Diet, The Power Food Nutrition Plan, and more. And one of the things that I love to do, in addition to everything you're hearing, is communicating the science of nutrition and translating it into food, especially in the world of medicine, trying to help physicians learn how to speak to their patients about nutrition, health, and wellness. And I've had the great opportunity to do that along with Eric as a volunteer with a group of medical experts called Medical Education Exchange Team, which is a NGO, nonprofit, going to Can Tho University of Medicine and Pharmacy in South Vietnam. and that's been one of the great opportunities to volunteer along with many others in my life. So really fun to be here again with Eric and talk about our passion, nutrition.
For sure, yeah. And I gotta thank you again for allowing me to be a part of that trip to Vietnam. That was just an amazing experience, and it was great to have an impact on doctors and future doctors in all things nutrition and fitness and wellness.
And just like them, I think everyone needs to have the personal experience of how impactful changing your diet and your exercise routines can be. And when you have that personal experience, then you really, then you're going to go out and you're going to sing to the rafters. And as practitioners, so many of our listeners are practitioners, coaches, trainers, and other aspects, nutritionists and other people in healthcare. When you feel it, you believe it. And that's what we were also doing in Vietnam. And that was so great to have Eric there because he took the medical students to the gym and showed them how to exercise. And we talked to them about how to have their own personal nutrition plans and how to determine what would be best for them. And I think that really changes then how you speak to your clients, your family members, whoever it may be. And so one of the things that I'd like to share today is a question that I got from a coach at a presentation I was giving a few weeks ago, which is, okay, so I'm not a nutritionist. This is from the coach. I'm not the nutrition expert. I have some really good basic nutrition training and understanding. Where do I begin when I'm working with an athlete? How do I start them off on their nutrition journey? What's the first place to go? And I have found in my practice, and certainly in what the literature tells us, is that there are two things. One is health begins in your digestive tract, and making sure that your digestive tract is as healthy as possible. And we're going to talk about how you do that. A lot of the inflammatory processes that impact our health and performance do start in the gut. And there is a huge part of your immune system functions in the gut. And the second is that the number one reason that people miss their workouts or training, and this is in the literature, is because of stomach upset and digestive issues. And so if we can start there and know that gut health impacts total health and performance, getting that foundation is key to everything else. Kind of, as I said, that's the foundation. And so that's what we'd like to talk about today.
And I think that it's such an important topic because I know we talk about gut health a good bit. As dietitians, it just kind of comes natural to us in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not in the way that it's projected now, right? Where there's like gut health cleanses and someone telling you what your problem is to then sell you the solution. And I think an important part of our job is deciphering like good information from poor information and being a scientific communicator on that. But the answer is so simple. And it's the second word in this phrase of gut health, just health, period, right? Especially when it comes to, and I like to think of everyone that I work with, I like to look at them through the lens of like they're an athlete. Even if they're not technically an athlete, I think if people were to see themselves as and treat themselves as athletes, things would be a little bit different when it comes to their training and their nutrition, their discipline, and all of that. But something I like to tell people is a sick athlete is not a very effective athlete. So if we're not in good health, then that's going to be a problem. And the gut connection there is so huge because we know that it impacts our immune system, right? So if you're getting sick or you have a cold, that's going to be a problem. But even something else that as a dietitian, I find myself, especially lately, because I work a lot with tactical athletes, and if they have to go overseas or something along those lines, yeah, I want to promote health and variety in their nutrition, but thinking about what can we do to ensure that their gut health is in a good place, and even like for their training, right? Now, this is either the tactical athletes or regular athletes, whether they're professional or recreational, um, where they're not like going to war and combat, is before they're going to train physically, one of the most important things for me, for them, is going to be mitigating any sort of GI issues, nutrient timing and all those sorts of things. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up with what's cool and what's not. What probiotic should I be taking? Like, well, who's to say that you should even be taking a probiotic? Um, so sometimes we get lost in the sauce, but making sure that we're not getting nauseous or diarrhea before training or exercising or ever, ideally, is an important part of it all too. So there's so much that goes into health and gut health that it's quite a fascinating world.
Right. And it's got to be an issue because I don't know about your practice, but I think it takes about 5 minutes of sitting with a new client before we get into the conversation about, well, I don't know if it's cool to talk to you about my bowel movements, but, and that's just like, we're right into that right away. And it's a very common, almost universal conversation in a dietitian's office. And so, number one, and number two, um, people feel comfortable having that conversation because it really is a key symptomatic indicator of what's going on with your body. Uh, in talking about like sort of what are the foundational issues, what can a coach talk about? There are these ideas of probiotics, right? So your microbiome is really the total idea, not just, oh, I'm going to take these probiotics, because there's still a lot of question for general health purposes of whether or not there's any functionality to actually taking probiotics. They can have very specific mission-driven reasons that you take them with specific outcomes, but what we're beginning to learn is that it's not the actual bacteria itself, it's the metabolite of that bacteria or yeast or whatever the culture is. And if it's the metabolite, meaning whatever they're digesting in your gut and what's coming out is actually what's having the impact on your gut, along with they share their genetic material otherwise. But in the largest way, the metabolites, well, then maybe that's what the important component is. So that taking the actual probiotic may be less important than building that culture in your gut through feeding it well. And that's the step before. It's kind of like we need to feed ourselves well. Well, we're also feeding our microbiome, and that comes from what we call prebiotics, or typically fibers in the diet. And those fibers then feed the culture that then digests and absorbs and then gives off metabolites that then impact all kinds of things locally in the digestive tract, but also system-wide, body-wide. And so those metabolites can impact turning genes on and off, affecting inflammatory processes, impacting risk of disease, all kinds of things that where we thought, for instance, years ago, fiber was sort of, like a hairbrush cleaning your digestive tract out. That's not really what it's doing at all. What it's doing is feeding the microbiome so that can then help keep everything else, not just in your gut, but body-wide healthy. And there's communication from the microbiome in your gut to the microbiome in the rest of your body, on your skin, your eyelashes. I mean, it's everywhere. So thinking again of what do you tell your client? Well, it's increasing. We're back to a plant-rich diet, like, and foundationally, the concept of variety. Critically important to have variety in your diet. So I sort of start with, whether it's me or a coach or a trainer, a plant-rich diet and a variety of plant-based foods, from grains and beans, nuts and seeds, vegetables, fruits, all those different fibers. And seeds play a very, very important role, particularly in this variety of fibers that we're looking at, because we don't eat them very much in sort of the US diet.
Yeah, most definitely. I love that you said variety, because that's something that it's so simple, yet it it's often forgotten. Variety is one of those things that it's like, I often say it might sound very elementary, but if you're looking for variety, if you look for more color on your plate, not Skittles, um, that can ensure that there's an increased amount of just different nutrients, be it different vitamins and minerals to support your immune system and all of that. But when we do get more color, oftentimes that's by getting in more plant foods, right? So it's almost like, when in doubt, always remember the fundamentals. So looking for variety, plenty of plant sourced, plant based foods. And I'm not saying that someone has to go full on vegan or full on plant based or plant exclusive,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
you know, but bringing our attention to that, because what are we paying attention to? And I think that's an important question for people to ask themselves. What am I being mindful of, if anything at all? Because oftentimes we kind of go through our days, we kind of go through life, not practicing mindfulness, but more so through mindless eating. We don't particularly stop to consider, what am I eating? Why am I eating this? Especially if we don't have a well varied diet coming natural to us. I think a lot of times athletes don't already have these fundamentals in place. So finding little ways to help introduce them to these fundamentals of incorporating a variety of food. Like you said, nuts and seeds. I mean, how much nuts and seeds are people really eating on a regular basis? Probably not enough.
Right.
Um,
And the things, for instance, whole grains, which, I if you've listened to me in the past, 6 years, you've heard this before, that whole grains are the number one thing that we need to increase in our diet. Worldwide research shows that it will reduce chronic disease risk, especially in this country. And believe me, if you don't want to eat bread, you don't have to. Just cook whole grains, the whole wide variety of whole grains. And there are gluten-free whole grains. So please add those back to your diet. Those fibers are critically important to keep your microbiome healthy. But things like, there's this one fiber that is, sort of a favorite of mine. It's called lignin. It's a type of flavonoid. Lignin is found in abundance in flax seeds, and people, sprinkle flax seeds over their muffins. But the funny thing is that we can't chew them up. They come out the way they went in, and so they must be ground. But lignins are found, yes, in high amounts in flax seeds and sesame seeds. Grind your flax seeds, by the way, or flaxseed meal, but also in extra virgin olive oil and in red wine. So there you go with variety.
that's a whole assortment of variety right there.
Exactly, exactly. And lignins, just as one small category, are profoundly impactful for helping. They are known to be a phytoestrogen and decrease risk of estrogen-related cancers, so hormone-related cancers, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, colon cancer, as well as decreasing risk of cardiovascular disease, in helping with lowering cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. So again, just one fiber, one component, one compound, but found in a variety of foods, a lot. But how much flaxseed can you eat? So again, that's why the variety is so important every day. Thinking about the all the different sources of plant foods that we have, and including them all, variety in everything that you eat is important. When you're using oils, use a variety of oils, not just one. Like you said, when you're eating nuts, don't just eat almonds, eat cashews and Brazil nuts and everything. So variety, I think, is where we've landed this plane. And I don't know, anything last to add, Eric?
Yeah, I mean the one more thing that I'll mention because I get asked about this a lot. It's is the actual taking of probiotics, and that's become
Oh, great.
extremely popular, and it's become a very blanket like statement for individuals. Oh, you're not feeling good. Oh, your immune system. Here, take these probiotics, and it's just kind of like, although I don't see too much damage coming from that in most cases. Um, I do think that it takes away from the message that we're pushing here, which is have a varied diet. And if you have a particular symptom, and this is what I tell all my women and men and anyone in between, I say if you are curious about probiotics, talk with me first. Let me know why it is that you want to take it, because if you have a particular symptom, then there are particular strains that I can look up and recommend, maybe take this brand and this one because it has this strain. Like, I don't know, something like preventing traveler's diarrhea, for
Right.
example. Or if someone is taking antibiotics. In those particular cases, sure, I can recommend a particular brand of probiotic for them to take, but that's a very specific case. I don't want to say everyone should be taking probiotics. And again, would it hurt? Probably not in most cases. But then again, it's taking away from that fundamental message of having some variety. So we want to do what we can to support our gut health, which is going to have an impact on the rest of our health, including brain and mental health.
Exactly. That is such a great point. It's think about taking probiotics in a mission-driven way, in the same way that we might take a prescription drug, right? There's a specific purpose to it. You take it. You may not need to take it forever, but to understand that when we take probiotics and in research, when they then measure, you really have to take them every day. It does not change the colonization in your gut forever. It's a moment to moment thing. But what does change the colonization is how you eat every day. And that is much more impactful. Well, this has been so much fun to start off our podcasts today with this foundational concept of plant-rich diet and variety, gut health and total health. I love it. Waiting for the next time we get together, Eric. Hope to see you
Yeah,
soon.
same here. And that's that we didn't even go to the fundamentals of exercise and sleep, which affect gut health,
Oh,
So,
we have a lot to talk about.
oh, for sure. Without a doubt. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Maybe that's the next topic.
It could be.
There you go. Have to tune in. Take care, everyone.
Alrighty, y'all.